Hi guys, welcome to our writing workshop lesson of the day. Today, you will need your writer's notebook, a piece of your writing, so something that you have already started writing or something that you wrote in the past, and a student to be super focused. Remember, that's the most important part. We need to be actively listening. Okay? So, the objectives of today are I will show you how to use mentor text to practice writer's craft. We will look at my personal story and try to add craft ideas from our mentor text to our writing. And you will look at a piece of your writing and add craft ideas from your mentor text. So, what is writer's craft? Writer's craft is how the writer wrote the story. What are things he included in the story? What order does he use? Sequential? Did he compare and contrast? Did he use a lot of dialogue? That's what a writer's craft is. And we're going to look at my story. Remember yesterday? Remember that yesterday we were talking about telling our own stories? Yes, so we're going to look at my story. Now, right now, I want you to think and pause the video. Why did we yesterday practice telling stories? What did that help us as writers? Think about it and come back. You're back? Did you think about it? Yes. So writing stories, telling stories makes us get more ideas to what we're going to write, get more details, get expressions from people. If we're telling to someone, they'll tell you, oh, this story is boring, or oh, that's a super cool story. So you also get feedback and you practice it. So you already know it when it's time for you to write it. So we're going to use a mentor text to try to fix my story and in the writer's some of the craft. We're going to add some of the craft from the text. This is a great technique that we could use because this helps us be better writers. This is already a book that's written by someone, an author. It's already published, which means it's a good book. It has good craft and it has a good story. So we could use this as a model for our writing. We're not going to copy it. We're going to use the craft, how he did it to write our own story. So I'm using this book from HMH called Keeping Up with Claire. This one right here, and you have the cover right here. I'm going to give you a really quick tip right now, is that if you run out of books and you don't know what books to read, you can always go to Clever and go to this little icon that says Add Your Friend in Learning. And that's going to be your, it's an error, guys. That's going to be your HMH book. That is the book. And in there's tons of different books. So here, if once you log into Ed, which is going to look like this, you're going to go down here and you're going to click on Read Labeled Library. And there's tons of different books that are going to pop up. So if you want to look at, sorry guys, my computer is not working. Make sure you're in grade 5. And if you go to Rigby Level Library, right there, and you click on that, all of the books are going to pop up. And guess what? The first book that pops up is this one. So if you want to look at it yourself, you can just click on it, okay? Okay, so let's go back to our presentation. The break is over. Okay, so we're going to talk about Keeping Up with Claire when this loads. So I'm going to read a piece of her writing and I'm going to try to add her craft to my writing or his or her. It's her. Okay. So it says, but you always miss my soccer games. Your friend Ricardo is always there to help coach. And I want to help too because you're the best soccer player in the whole world. I laughed, gave her a mumble, thanks, and told her that I would think about it. Actually, I had been thinking about it ever since Ricardo signed up. He was having a great time and getting some extra soccer tips from Claire's coach. And if Ricardo, who by the way is not just my friend, but my best friend, could get up early and on Saturday mornings, then maybe I could too. Well, the sleeping prince has decided to come and join those of us who have been awake for 5 hours already, laughed Dad. Once I had gotten dressed and walked down the kitchen. That's very funny, I said, sitting down next to Claire at the table. Dad was always teasing me about how late I like to sleep. So I'm looking at this and I'm looking at the craft and I noticed that he's added some quoting, some dialogue. So he is adding what his dad says to him, what Claire says to him. Claire is his little sister right here, and this is mom, but he's adding what Claire says to him. It says, Claire said or laughed dad. So he's adding lots of dialogue. I mumbled thanks, so he says what he says. So I'm gonna go to my story now, right here. And it says the day had and I'm going to read my story and I'm going to see what I can add. I decided that I want to add some dialogue from what I read on the book Keeping Up with Claire. I like the dialogue. I think it makes it interesting and it gives us an insight of what other people are thinking. So remember, my story from yesterday was about I came to Houston. So it says today I had come. Today I was hopping on a plane and leaving my family behind. Today I was moving to Houston. It was a very sad day. My whole family was with me at the airport, and we were all very sad. I tried my best not to cry in front of them, but it was very hard. It was time to board the plane, which meant it was time to say goodbye. I hugged my mom, so I can say here, I can add, sorry. So here, I could add that I hugged my mom and more dialogue. And so I would add and told her, sorry, let's say I hugged my mom and she told me she loved me and wished me the best. That's something that I can add. And then I have to change this because I said I hugged my mom and she told me she loved me and wished me the best. So that's something that she told me. We're getting insight on how my mom is feeling, right? Then it says my dad and my grandparents. So I could add here what my dad said to me. I could say she told me she wished me the best, period. My dad was already crying when I hugged him. So I'm adding more details. Hugged him, comma. He told me that he was going to miss me very much. So these are all things that we can add to our story and add more dialogue. I'm not actually saying quote unquote what they said, so I'm not using a quote, but I am adding more details. Like they said, remember I said he told Claire thanks and all that. So I am adding that. Of course, I got to go back and fix it because I have to change what my grandparents said. So I will delete this and add it later, or I would just put a little enter here so I know that I have to fix that later or add the details of what my grandparents told me. Okay. So this is how we're planning. This is us planning our writing, adding craft to our writing. And it's okay that we want to delete that. Now I want to change something. Now I want to put it this way. These are all things that are completely okay to do. So now it is your turn, okay? Now you guys are going to look at your mentor text and maybe you want to use the same one I did, Keeping Up with Claire. You just got to go back to that page in that book or go to HMH like I just told you guys to. And when you are done, use some of the craft ideas to add to your piece of writing. So the same thing I did. I added some dialogue. I added more details on what my parents were thinking. That's something that you could do too, or whoever's in the story with you. And then you're going to also write down the title of your mentor text on your piece of writing, your writing piece. You're going to take a picture of your work and you're going to upload it. Okay. Got it? Okay. Don't forget to turn in your work, do your best, and you got this.